Most people think presence is something you either have or you don't. Confidence, charisma, strong energy. But that's not true, because presence is not something you build first. It's something you lose. Slowly, quietly, through small behaviors you don't even notice. And the worst part? No one tells you. They just feel it. They feel something is off, but they don't explain it. And you walk away thinking, I was normal. I didn't do anything wrong, but something about you didn't land. Let me tell you something uncomfortable. The way you see yourself is not the way people experience you. In your head, you might feel calm, nice, respectful, quiet. But from the outside, it might come off as uncertain, hesitant, low energy, disconnected, right? And you don't notice the difference. Because inside, you judge intention. But people, they only see behavior. There are behaviors, like small ones, almost invisible, like that slowly destroy your presence. Not in one moment, but over time. They make people take you less seriously, ignore what you say, feel less impact from you, even if you're a good person, even if you have value, even if you know what you're talking about. Because presence is not just what you say, it's how you exist while saying it. You talk, and then you keep talking. You explain, then explain again, then add more, just to make sure they understand you. But something strange happens. The more you explain, the less powerful you sound. Because it doesn't feel like clarity. It feels like doubt. Like you don't trust your own words, so you keep adding more, hoping it will convince them. But instead, it weakens your presence. You say something, and then you look at their reaction, searching, waiting, adjusting yourself based on how they respond. And it's subtle. Most people won't consciously notice it, but they will feel it, that need. And the moment people feel that you need their approval, your presence drops. You speak, but there's no pause, no intention, no weight behind your words. Everything comes out the same. Same tone, same speed, same energy. So nothing stands out. Nothing lands, and people don't listen. Not because they don't care, but because nothing pulled them in. You don't completely avoid eye contact, but you don't hold it either. You look, then look away quickly, then come back, then lose it again. And it creates a feeling. Not strong enough to notice directly, but enough to signal uncertainty. And presence needs stability. Think about your last conversation. Not what you said, but how you said it. Did you rush? Did you over-explain? Did you look for reaction? Be honest. And here's the truth. These behaviors are not the real problem. They are symptoms of something deeper, because no one wakes up and decides, I want weak presence today. There's a reason behind it, a pattern, a way you learned to exist around people. And until you understand that, you will keep fixing the surface, while the real problem stays untouched. So in the next part, we go deeper into why you do this without even realizing it. Behaviors that are quietly destroying your presence. So let's slow down for a second. Because the real question is not what behaviors are ruining my presence. The real question is, why am I doing them in the first place? Because no one wakes up and decides to over-explain themselves and seek approval or lower their voice. These things are not random. They are learned. Somewhere along the way, you learned how to behave around people, not consciously, but through experience. You noticed what gets accepted, And what gets rejected? What gets approval? And what gets silence? And slowly, you adjusted. You didn't call it change at the time. It felt like adaptation, like survival. When you were younger, or even recently, you probably experienced moments like this. You spoke freely, and someone ignored you. You shared an idea, and someone laughed. You expressed yourself, and it felt like it didn't land. And your brain recorded something important. Be careful how you speak. Not in words, but in behavior. So you adapted. At some point, your mind made a decision for you. It's safer to be accepted than to be fully yourself. So you started, softening your tone, explaining more, avoiding conflict, watching reactions carefully, not because you're weak, but because your brain prioritized safety. And that's important to understand, because this is not a personality flaw. It's a protection mechanism. The same thing that protects you can also limit you, because what protects you from rejection also reduces your presence. What protects you from judgment also reduces your impact. And what protects you from discomfort also reduces your confidence. So over time, you become safe in communication, but less impactful. Instead of just speaking, you start monitoring yourself. How did that sound? Did they understand me? Did that make sense? Should I clarify more? And while you are doing that, you are no longer fully present. You are watching yourself speak instead of just speaking. And people feel that disconnect, even if they don't consciously understand it. After years of this, something subtle happens. You stop asking, how do I express myself? And start asking, how do I not mess this up? That shift is everything. Because now your focus is not expression. It's avoidance of mistakes. And that changes your entire presence. Have you ever noticed that in some situations you feel smaller, less confident, less clear, less grounded? And you think it's the person in front of you, but it's not. It's the version of you that learned to shrink in certain environments. That version still activates without permission. Think about this honestly. In which situations do you feel like you are careful with your words? With which type of people? And why? So now you can see it. The behaviors we talked about in part 1 aren't random. They are reactions to old experiences, to moments where being fully yourself didn't feel safe. So your mind chose a strategy: reduce risk, increase acceptance, avoid rejection. But here's where things get interesting. Because even if you understand this, even if you realize where it comes from, it still doesn't change automatically. Knowing is not enough, because the pattern doesn't disappear with awareness alone. It disappears when you start replacing it in real time. So in the final part, we're going to talk about how to rebuild your presence without forcing it, without faking confidence, and without becoming someone else. Just you, but unfiltered. So let's be clear. You don't need to become a different person. You don't need to be louder, more dominant, more confident, more perfect. That's not the goal. Because trying to become someone else always creates tension. And tension kills presence even more. The real shift is not become more. It is remove what blocks you. Because right now, your natural presence is already there. It's just covered. By hesitation, by overthinking, by monitoring yourself, by fear of reaction. So the work is not to add. The work is to reduce. One of the first shifts is reducing unnecessary explanation. Say what you mean, then stop. Let silence exist. Let people process. You don't need to fill every gap, Presh, because every extra explanation is a signal of doubt. Not dramatically, just enough to feel control. When you slow down, you automatically add weight to your words, and people start listening differently. Not because your words changed, but because your energy changed. This one is subtle, but powerful. When you are talking to someone, stop thinking about how you are coming across. Stop monitoring yourself. Instead, be inside the conversation, not outside of it. Because presence disappears the moment you become an observer of yourself. Silence is not a mistake. It is space. And presence grows in space. If you rush to fill every silence, you are signaling discomfort. But if you stay calm in silence, you signal stability. This is important. Stop measuring yourself through reactions. Did they nod? Did they smile? Did they agree? That habit pulls you out of presence. Because now your attention is not on expression, but on approval. When you start doing this, something changes slowly. You don't feel different instantly. But people start reacting differently to you. They listen more, they interrupt less, they take you more seriously. And you might not understand why at first. But it's simple. You stopped leaking uncertainty. Let me tell you something most people misunderstand. Confidence is not the cause of presence. It is the result. When you stop interfering with yourself, confidence appears naturally. Not forced, not performed, just stable. So if you take one thing from this video, take this. Your presence is not missing. It is just interrupted. By habits you learned, by reactions you repeated, by fear you never questioned. And the moment you stop interrupting yourself, people will start feeling you differently, without you trying. So don't become someone else. Just stop getting in your own way. Because the real version of you doesn't need to be built. It just needs space to exist.